Hello, welcome Simon's Trading Channel. It's been a while. Hope you're all well. Thank you for joining me for another one of my videos. Wow, what a bit of a crazy day yesterday was. Donald Trump came out, told us all about tariffs. I don't know, I was a bit underwhelmed. I really liked the chart though. That was smashing. Obviously, I like charts. I stare at them a lot. Um, but yeah, I liked this charts with all the different countries and tariff levels. Seems like the UK was, it's all right, really. 10%. I don't really know what we were paying in terms of tariffs before, if we were or not, or what we charge America for reciprocal tariffs our side. But anyway, yeah, a bit of a crazy day for price action. So a bit of an upside move followed by a complete downside move. Um, Kind of standard really in Bitcoin when there's something political going on. No overall change though. And so on that note, let's get straight on with the price action analysis. This is the 4-hour time frame. We've got a few different bits and bobs on here. But as you can see, for quite some time now, Bitcoin hasn't really done anything significant from the March. Well, this is a February low, end of February. This is the March low. This is the March high. So the March range really was from like 95 down to call it 77. So it was a good $20,000 range nearly. And not much has happened either side of that. In fact, nothing has happened either side of that. Price has just been living in between them. But it's kind of settled into this kind of low to mid 80s. You can see there's a nice 4-hour uptrend here. Has it been negated? Well, yes and no, in as much as this is more of a range now, somewhere between 88 and basically that wick low there, and call it 81. So a bit, more of a range. There's no clear trend on the 4-hour at the moment. It's just sort of bouncing around. From a momentum point of view, um, it looks like momentum did briefly shift to the upside, but is now looking to shift back to the downside here on the MACD. And the RSI, well, there's nothing too obvious to give me a steer on price action from the RSI. So let's move on to the daily. The daily time frame is contracting in volatility. Now, why is that significant? Well, let's get rid of the RSI. I don't need it for the moment. So contracting volatility, narrow Bollinger Bands. You can see that throughout the current all-time high, the Bollinger Bands have only once been, I would say, narrower than they are at the moment, and that was back over here. That preceded an increase in volatility with a move to the downside. And you can see the steer, the edge that you would have if you were looking would be that price was living below the midpoint. So it's below the midpoint of the Bollinger Band, below the 20 SMA. And because it was living below that in that context of low volatility, it was very likely that the move would be to the downside, which is how it transpired. It did then bounce back up, but came back down to the downside. So with that volatility expansion came basically a downside move because price was below the midpoint. Where's price at the moment? It's below the midpoint. And yeah, okay, the volatility is not as tight as it was over here. The Bollinger Bands aren't as narrow. Is it going to continue to contract? Probably. I'd say probably. Obviously, I don't know because I can't see the future. But probably looking at some more low volatility for the time being. How long that goes on? Well, only time will tell. But yeah, while price is below on the daily time frame, 85, it's more likely that any volatile move will be to the downside. To be honest, any volatile move to the downside would look very dangerous because then this low, the current March low, comes into jeopardy. If the current March low comes into jeopardy, that brings all this price action back into view. And this price action is a massive range that has a bottom around 53. That's not so good if you're looking for new all-time highs anytime soon. I can tell you that, my friends. So we'll see. The MACD's kind of slowly moving back up to the zero line. It's trying its best to flick to upside momentum, but it's not there yet. And I think at the very minimum, we need a few days worth a few days worth of closures back above 85. But really, for volatility to expand in a meaningful way to the upside, that's above 88. So we'll see what happens. Basically, it's more consolidation for Bitcoin. It's more boring time for Bitcoin at the moment. The weekly does the weekly thing. So it's just reflecting this overall bull market at the moment. So big move to the upside, sideways consolidation, no volatility expansion to the downside. Big move to the upside, consolidation, no volatility expansion to the downside. Big move to the upside, consolidation, no volatile move to the downside yet. But remember, the longer the Bitcoin spends below this midpoint, which is on the weekly time frame, 94.5K, and if and when volatility expands, it'll be a downside move. If and when that does occur, to the downside, that, my friends, is a bear market. Because as you can see, for the bull market to proceed, you need to have volatility expansion on the weekly time frame to the upside. That has to happen. If it goes to the downside, it's not good. It's no longer a bull market. From a momentum point of view, still to the upside, and you can see still a fair distance from the zero line, but getting closer each time. So I think we're still okay. I think it is likely that it's just going to be boring for a bit longer, followed by another upside move. But my thoughts are irrelevant. It's what the price action does that's the most important thing. Let's see what happens over the next few days. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe. Join me next time for another Bitcoin price action analysis video. Take care and I'll see you soon.